Right, so Jamark and I think that the quicker we allow the truth to be placed out there is also beneficial because we now see an environment that is created accommodating, first of all, the parents, secondly, the school, and obviously, and this is where we agree with them, the children, because his promotion, his life, and his future, you want, is opposition's biggest priority, is debate. So, before I get to my positive matter, I have a few points of rebuttal. So, first of all, they bring us, in terms of the policy, this concept of medicine issue. Firstly, we see that not all kids or not all parents necessarily propose the idea that their children are being put on this medicine, and there's a big kickback as well. That's not, the policy isn't dealing with that. More importantly, and secondly, it has different effects on children. I mean, some children are really subdued to the extent that they can't participate in class at all, and a problem is still there where they're kind of considered as dumb or a non-participant in class, which still does not, and the problem that they kind of identified isn't a doubt. But more importantly, these children aren't dumb. Are they just going to tell them we've got it's vitamin C until they're 13 and like just undermine the inquisitive nature of children, saying this isn't vitamins, it's a lot smaller than what my class is. Oh, this is maybe something else. Let's do some research. Children aren't dumb. They know what Ritalin is because a friend might be on it at the age of 12. Okay. And then second of all, they bring us this 18-year-old issue where we can tell them when they're 18. First of all, we don't really see what's a big difference between a 14-year-old and an 18-year-old.
For shame.
Secondly, there's a possible kickback to an extent because we say if they are 18 and, oh well, I had a medical condition for 18 years, my parents never told me, they're not dealing with the possible kickback that might happen in that time period. Then they have this whole argument concerning the self-fulfilling prophecy. And when we look especially at the schooling system, there's two possibilities, right? At our side of the bench here, where we say the teachers know the child has ADHD and we know how to deal with it because we were actually prepared to deal with these children, like we learned in university how to deal with these type of things. But more importantly, and this is also a big possibility, is we know this person has ADHD, he might be on pills, or the best we can hope for now is that the situation is a lot better than expected, right? Because I mean, they are going to be in Ritalin concept. Just a lot better than the reverse side of the child actually bombing out in class or not performing as the child was supposed to under their model. So my positive matter here is why it's really important that we tell the child especially. When we have context here, we see that children and adolescents, not this 5-year-old naive little person they were talking about, is in the developmental age where they have to develop in every single sphere, socially and intellectually, academically and so forth. But we see that they don't necessarily have the maturity in that age gap where they don't necessarily want to stick out. So they don't want to handle these problems. They don't necessarily want to speak in front of other people, whatever the case may be. And we see that especially with these people and the school, their friends, the people that they have to deal with in society every single day, especially at school, label them as, you know, you're stupid, you are inadequate, you are a naughty child, you're dumb. And we see that this is very prevalent because kids are cruel in today's society. The sooner it is introduced and normalized, this is the crux word here, is as soon as it's normalized by the parents, the problem is alleviated to an extent. When we ask ourselves, so what to this extent, we say that children have a difficulty adopting in the schooling environment, right? Because they have inferiority complexes. That's a kind of nature of time, especially if I'm going to be ostracized and alienated by my friends because I'm different according to them. What we're doing is we're saying, you are different, you might be a little bit different than your friends, you might not be able to concentrate as effectively, but you know what, that's okay because we know how to deal with it. This is how it works, right? We say that we're arming the child to an extent. And I know this argument I'll take you on, is that we're arming the child because what do we do here? We're fulfilling the roles of what a parent really is. You're fulfilling you're giving them an adult, and more importantly, the parent's perspective, explaining to them, hey, you know what, it might be difficult, but we might give you a pill, we might not, but this is what is wrong with you, we can deal with it. When the child mocks you for being hyperactive or not, and the teacher scoffs at you because you aren't as an effective learner, it's okay because we know how to deal with it. We have certain measures, certain methods to deal with it. We say the role of a parent that's going to be fulfilled on the outside of the bench is equipping the child for life. You're providing him support because you know the child best to an extent. We say that's important, and that's important why a child should know about this condition. Yes, you are.
So, all the detriment you identify of a child being ostracized and treated differently is only applicable to the minority of cases of children that react negatively to our medication, but is applicable to all the children that is being told you have ADHD.
So I'm sorry, we're not going to tell all the friends, you know what, he's got a medical condition, okay? As opposed to the child running around and not being able to study as effectively is a lot more prevalent than you think you are. And I'm sorry, but a child who can't play with his friends because he's in concerta and he can't communicate with them is a much more prevalent problem than you think.
Yeah.
So secondly, and it's also important, why is it important for the school to know? You say that the most prevalent problems we have in the schooling system is children get left behind. You're not as fast of a worker. We don't understand why it is, but you know what? You must be one of those dumb kids as opposed to, you know what? I as a teacher know that when a person has ADHD, I know how to deal with it. It's a curriculum, a part of the curriculum every teacher undergoes. We say that there's frustration by teachers because, you know, I might identify that child as the naughty one, the one that's supposed to be sitting at the back. I might phone the parents, and the parent can't tell me what's wrong with this child, and the teachers are also kind of alienated to an extent, or criticized as, you know what, you aren't as apt of parents because frankly, you weren't as, you're not disciplining the child. We say that teachers are obviously also aggravated to an extent where they don't know what's wrong with this child, he's just being naughty. What outside of the bench is doing when we actually tell the school and the teachers and the child is, you know what, we arm you now to say, do you remember when you were still at university? This is the steps and the measures you have and methods you have to use for a child that has ADHD. This is under the medical, he has to take his pill obviously. During this time period, it might not go as well with him because the medication might wear off, whatever the case may be. This is kind of the curriculum you have to focus on. This is kind of, we have to work at a certain pace for his sake, what the case may be, as opposed to just aiding the child.